Here's a
I think
question for you,
Hendrix.
real quick.
Yeah.
Your parents obviously were both equally creative in their own ways, and obviously different
Yeah.
too, right? So, as their
Absolutely.
son, how do you feel like their creativeness has influenced you uniquely from each side of your family tree?
Well, my mother, although she was a songwriter and a musician, especially earlier on, later, like when I was more, I don't know, starting 8, 10, 12, she started working on a PhD in English as a postgraduate, like at Vanderbilt.
Right.
And so she got way more, she was more into actual writing in English and poetry and prose, and she wrote some like short stories and had novel ideas and stuff like that. I have, some of it survived, some of it was just talked about, but I think a lot of my humor is probably influenced by her. She was big on the wordplay, and probably a little bit more influential in introducing me to some of the very, very British aspects of Monty Python and things like that. And so I don't know. And my dad, of course, just had that cool factor, that actual outlaw factor, where you could just tell, God, this guy's just doing this because he really loves music and he really doesn't give a shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I try to explain to people regularly. The outlaw movement was not about having some, macho, persona and enough rings, to become brass knuckles and singing about how tough you were. That's what it devolved into.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's not what they were trying to
originally,
do, right? They were just being
no.
themselves.
He
Yeah.
Waylon just wanted to make records with the band he played with
Right.
every night on the road
Yep.
and sing the songs he wanted to sing. That was all he was really asking for,
Yep.
And so, and when he finally got it, of course, we got some pretty big hits. He started selling even more records. I mean, he was right. Let's face it.
Yep, sure was. And man, Waylon, just his career was so important to all music. I think, right? Just the totality of it.
Yeah,
If you go from the beginning to the end of who Waylon was, and how many different chapters of his life, or not even close to what like what as Waylon, like the Crickets era, and then the
yeah,
DJ era, and then the outlaw country, and then like a little bit more mainstream in the '80s. Like there's just so many different
yeah,
chapters to Waylon, and I think he helped so many people's careers that came after him because of that.
yeah.
Um, Let me ask you this: you did mention this a little bit about possibly following in the footsteps of your parents who came before you with their own style, genre, etc. Did you feel any kind of pressure once you knew this is what you wanted to do to follow a similar path as them?
I mean, the funny thing is that my dad was always sort of very vocally opposed to it. He was like, he wanted me to go be an accountant or something
Of course he
safe,
did, because he
because,
knew the
you know,
struggles, right? Yeah,
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 right. My mother, on the other hand, was actually tended to be the one who was like, you do you. And,
right.
if this is what you want to do, then go do it. So, I mean, pressure, I think going back to what we were talking about, and all of us trying to escape into rock and roll, that is certainly a symptom of some kind of pressure that you
Sure.
feel.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think I've told people before too. I mean, look, if your dad was a world class bricklayer and you went into the bricklaying business, there's still pressure there too. It's not that different,
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you
like,
folks are. If they're successful at what they do, you're going to feel pressure no matter what, right? Yeah.
I mean, if you go into that business, yeah, you
Yeah,
know what I mean.
absolutely.
Maybe if not, but also, especially maybe if you go
Well,
into
I
that
mean, if you go
particular
into a
business,
different business, everybody's going to be like, man, you should be laying bricks. That's, I mean, come
right?
on, let's go.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the pressure you feel is going to be from other people, man. Hey, man, you're struggling over there delivering pizza, man. Maybe you should lay a brick or two.
Yeah. Well, and I've tried to articulate this before too. It's like people will be mad at you for being too much like your parent,
Hmm.
and they'll be mad at you for not being enough like your parent,
Yeah,
and sometimes at the same time,
I know it's so
and
weird. Yeah, and I've seen it a lot too. Like I've interviewed a lot of people, that derived from people that were in the business, and one fashion or another. Yeah, it's just it's a unique story, right, from each perspective, not just yours but
Yeah.
theirs as well. I was lucky enough to interview Buddy Cannon and Marla Cannon Goodman on two different occasions, so I got to
Right.
really chat about each side of the equation there. So it's pretty cool to talk about that stuff. When did
Yeah.
music kind of become more than a hobby for you? When was it something you really decided to put all your eggs in?
I mean, I was trying to as a teen, and
Sure.
and really, I wish, I don't know, I wish I'd had a little bit more support, maybe financially, and so I might have done something with it actually then. And I mean, I got pretty close a couple of times going into my 20s, and then there just comes this point where you've had a couple of brushes with almost, and people are just like, "All right, time to get a real job, guy." You know what I mean? So I eventually did go to do some college. I never knew what the hell I wanted to do. I changed my major every semester. I got on academic probation a couple of times. Finally decided maybe it was graphic design, and then I didn't actually need the 4 year degree from MTSU after all, so I transferred to Nashville State, which was a technical college at the time. They've since rebranded as a community college, but that's where I ended up graduating from with a degree in what they called visual communication. So graphic design with some photography. And so I mean I do my own record covers and stuff. I mean it's probably saved it hasn't saved me as much as I spent on all that
Sure. Yeah,
meandering
I
through
bet.
college. Luckily it was in the mid 90s most of it, so it wasn't that expensive, you know.
And now
So
AI's taking that job over, right? Essentially,
well,
yeah.
not from me.
No.
And as a matter of fact, when I go get stock assets to use when I do some of this stuff, I always click the exclude generative AI.
Yep.
I have no use for AI. I'm
It's just
sorry,
so
y'all. I
obvious
just
when it
don't.
is AI, man. I always try to
Yeah,
stay away, man, like because that's taken somebody's
yeah,
job. I feel. Um,
yeah.